Behind me is the largest aircraft in the Paul Bennet Airshows fleet. It's a TBM-3E Grumman Avenger. It was built in 1943 and it was the biggest single-engine torpedo bomber used in World War II. It's powered by a 1950 horsepower Wright Cyclone 14-cylinder radial engine with a two-stage supercharger. As you can see, it's a massive propeller on the front of the Avenger. It's a Hamilton standard hydromatic constant speed propeller. One of the special features of the Grumman Avenger is this folding wing mechanism. It was a unique design, very successful, and the reason they did that was to fit multiple aircraft onto an aircraft carrier, especially in the US Navy. Some specs for the Grumman Avenger are the wingspan when the wings are spread, just under 17 metres. It's approximately 12 metres long and 5 metres high. As you can see, it's a massive bomb bay here on the Grumman Avenger. In here they held multiple combinations of massive bombs. As you can see on this side, there's hydraulic plumbing. This side's hydraulics and fuel. Pretty good access to be able to do maintenance on the aircraft, but a massive area for the big ticket items, which are the bombs. Hello again. As you can see, plenty of room down the back of the Grumman Avenger. This section here this is the rear section of the bomb bay, so you can see the outside skins here of the bomb bay. And then up above it we've got the turret, so it's a full rotating turret. We've restored it so it operates just like it did in the war. Obviously it's pretty tight to get up and in there, so you need a small guy or girl to operate the turret. And that turret operator, they take off and land in this rear third seat. As you can see up the front there, we've got the hydraulic reservoir with the uplifter valve and some of the hydraulic mechanisms that operate the undercarriage, the wing flaps, the wing fold mechanism, the bomb bay and the cowl flaps. Okay, so we're in the cockpit of the Grumman Avenger. Obviously big aeroplane, high up off the ground, big cockpit. Just like the other aeroplanes, we'll start a bit of a scan, pretty standard pilot thing. Scan from the left to the right, so we get ourselves in, get comfortable, hook our helmet up to the headset jacks, move our way forward. We got our tail wheel lock over on the left. We got our emergency fuel pump switch down here, so we will turn that on, check the fuel pressure. We've got our elevator trim, rudder trim, aileron trim. We take off with 5 degrees right because the torque of the propeller takes us to the left, so we 5 degrees right on the rudder trim. We got our throttle quadrant here next coming forward, so we've got mixture, manifold pressure and high and low blower. We only use low blower because we standardly operate at below 10,000 feet. And then that takes us now to the front dash. So we've got hydraulic pressure gauge down far left. We've got our undercarriage, which is 2 levers together to make the wheels fold up. We've got our flap lever. We've got our magneto switch, our propeller lever for fine and coarse. As we come across, we've got carbiair, we've got our oil cooler door, or the very bottom door down the bottom, which just controls the temperature of the oil temp. Out the back of the cooler, we've got our undercarriage lights, got our RPM and manifold pressure, our radio stack and transponder, our head here with the intercom. We've got our standard 6-pack of instruments across here, so we've got our airspeed, our artificial horizon, our altimeter, our balance ball or skid indicator, a compass and a vertical speed indicator. Okay, further across to the right we've got our amps and voltmeter, we've got our carbiair and our outside air temperature. And as we come down the side we've got a clock, we've got our most important instrument, we've got oil temp, oil pressure, fuel quantity, G meter, cylinder head temp. Cylinder head temp with 14 cylinders, we don't have 14 cylinder head temps, we've just got 2 and it averages out. In the centre here, down under the top dash, we've got our secondary, so we've got our cowl flaps, so that's what's taking care of the cylinder head temperature. We've got our bomb bay door, so open and closing the bomb bay. We've got our wing spread mechanism, so wings spread or wings folded, and then once the wings are spread we've got our T-handle to lock the wings in, locks the pins. Centre we've got our rudder pedals, which has also got hydraulic assist, and then across to the right we've got our switch panel and our circuit breaker panel. So we've got the main master switch, we've got the generator on off, the pitot heat, we've got the generator fail light, we've got the turn and bank light, we've got the starter engage light, pitot heat nav lights, horn test, which is for the undercarriage in case. So when you come back on the manifold pressure, if you don't have the gear down, the horn comes on. We've got the radio master, and we've got our starting system. We've also got a scavenge system and an oil pump. So the scavenge system, once we've shut the engine down, we turn the oil off and we scavenge all the oil from the bottom cylinders. We put it back up into the oil tank. That's got a massive oil tank, it's nearly 200 litres of oil. And then before we start each time, after we pulled the prop through and we're happy with, we're nearly ready to start it, we put the oil pump on, obviously turn the oil on from the tank to the engine, and then we put the oil pump on, which brings the oil pressure up in the engine before we start it, so we call it a pre-oiler. So all in all, it's a big cockpit. It's not a bad view out the front. You're sitting very high up off the ground. It takes a bit of getting used to, I guess, when you're coming into the flare for landing, how high up in the air you are when you're actually touching the ground. The propeller's very large out in front, so it's a big massive disc. But although it's sort of a good view, out the front for a tail dragger, for a warbird, a small aircraft could easily go under your nose and you wouldn't see it. So on the ground, you've got to be aware of what's going on. It would be quite easy to taxi straight over the top of a small aircraft. If someone came out in front of you, you weren't concentrating. If you're following a small aircraft down the taxiway, you could quite easily taxi straight over the top of someone and cut them up. But all in all, great aircraft, big, heavy, solid, pretty heavy on the stick. How it is now, it's quite heavy now, and it only gets heavier when you're airborne, unlike the Wolf Pits or some of the smaller aircraft. That's the Avenger.